Hey, friend.
Hey, girl, hey.
I'm really excited for this episode because I think it could be, what's the word, illustrative? Illustrative of how two people who are very like-minded are experiencing the world really differently.
Yes.
And I sometimes think that like when we like disagree about something or we're like not on the same page, I'm like, I think we're operating just from like different information. Which is okay, but it's unique to our times.
It's unique to our times because today's conversation is switching Instagrams. What would happen if for a day I walked into your virtual life and you walked into my virtual life? And we actually want to recommend that maybe with the people in your lives, those people who you're very close to, that you just have a moment to just inquire about some things. I've done that with my sisters lately, and it has been so eye-opening.
What's on there? What are they seeing?
So I had a conversation with them about trad wives, which you all know we've talked about many times in the podcast. And I found out from one of my sisters that she definitely is being targeted around that type of content. And she said, I don't know why, because I don't have a husband. And I work outside of my home. And so I would not be the one that fits into this demographic. But I think the aha moment is the reason that came down her algorithm is because she loves cleaning and organization content. And that's such a loud part of that piece of the algorithm. And so it's also a way that we have maybe been red-pilled, some of us.
And also how we are multi-hyphenate.
Yes.
Right? Like I also like cleaning content. Shocker. I don't like cleaning, but I find it very soothing.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So I also think the algorithm targets people who don't have the life to create the aspiration.
So there are certain aspirational components behind it.
Right. Like if she doesn't have a partner, she works out of the home, maybe I don't know.
Or someone who just wants a very clean and tidy house all the time. And maybe that's not their current lived experience, right? Mm-hmm. So there are parts of it, if you dream about amazing vacations and that's what you're consuming, a lot of travel and wanderlust content. And so the question is, though, when we live in a world now where we're being told the facts ain't really the facts no more, Margo. The facts are alternative. The facts are if you want them to be the facts. I mean, is there an objective reality anymore that we're all operating from? That's where these types of conditions that we're talking about get to be a little scary.
Right. And I think while there was always differing opinions or differing experiences in this country and, of course, across the world, we had generally agreed upon sources of information, very right? True. The AP or the New York Times or the Washington Post. And over the last 5 years, those entities have become political, 100%. Unfortunately. And been bought, like the Washington Post being bought by Bezos, who was the founder of Amazon. And so kind of the complexity of and the intertwining of
our news. So let's just do a quick scroll on both of our Instagrams. We have our phones today, y'all. And we're going to tell each other what we see on our first scrolls. Specifically, let's do Instagram. Okay?
You go first.
Okay. So not surprisingly, I see one of my favorite content creators perched in a beautiful white dress. Her name is Any. Her platform is called Any Given Sunday. Highly recommend. It's a birthday post because I swiped through her carousel. Secondly, I see Michelle Obama and Issa Rae, and I think Michelle Obama's brother having a conversation. So that sounds about right. It's a podcast. And third, I see another fashion influencer dressed in a J'adore top and a pair of J.W. Anderson pants and standing in front of a library. She looks very fashionable. Double tap real fast.
Okay. So that's so interesting. I have to go through my screen zen.
to get there.
I have to wait 5 seconds, everyone. This is one of my ways that I control myself. Okay. It's still loading. So my first post is Ashley Graham dancing.
Okay, the model, Ashley Graham, okay.
Oh, another post is someone, this doctor, influencer who's a dermatologist who's married to another doctor, and he's putting on a continuous glucose monitor on her.
This could not be any better. Okay, go ahead.
And then I have Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama, her brother, and Issa Rae. Okay,
good.
Okay, go down to the next three.
Good. Okay, I'm happy about that. That was some overlap. Okay. Another set of influencers is number 4. Number 5 is an activism post. It is a reminder of Breonna Taylor's murder 5 years ago. So may she rest well. That's posted by a platform called Afropunk. And then another influencer, fashion. So 2 fashion and 1 activism, politics and fashion.
Okay.
In my next 3.
So I have some reels that I'm not, like the suggested reels, but I'm not going to do those. I have Pamela Anderson.
That sounds on brand.
In a black and white photo in front of a tree with overalls. It's a carousel. Oh, now she's in her garden with dahlias. Oh, she's wearing a white peasant dress with rain boots and lettuce.
Talk about rebranding.
Oh, yeah. She's now on a hammock reading an actual book.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. Then some ads that are like skincare, gym. Then New York Magazine.
Okay. NY Mag, is that their handle?
NY
Okay,
Mag.
I follow them.
Parents with money. It's an article about basically how you can't live in New York like market rate without support from your parents. Oh my gosh, I'm really embarrassed to say what my next one is. Lo Bosworth.
Lo Bosworth?
She was on the show Laguna Beach. She created a vitamin line.
Is that what Lauren Conrad was on?
Yeah,
Laguna Beach?
she was her ex-best friend. Not Heidi, but another one.
Oh, this gets deep. Okay. And so that feels like a bit of nostalgia, but wrapped in wellness at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. So themes: fashion, wellness, activism, newsy type of content, current events maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're at the same party. Maybe
we're at the same party.
Same
I think my party maybe has more focus on like menopause and health.
Yeah.
And your focus is more on fashion.
It is a lot of fashion. And I also, interestingly enough, am not being targeted by as many ads as you, partly because I click the 3 dots and I'm quick to be like, not interested, report.
So I don't. So this is another thing. You interact with the algorithm a lot more than I do. Although I think I actually do by watching.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
So you like heart stuff.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I'm teaching my partner how to use Instagram because she was on it kind of passively, but then is now back on it. And she was getting spammed by all of this tryptophobia content. And she's like, just make it go away, make it go away. And I was like, tryptophobia are these images that give you like the creepy crawlies. So it'll look like something crawling on people, but it's not. It's like beans or something. But people create that content because it makes you watch it. And it's just despicable, right? You're grossed out, but you can't turn away. And that's all that was on her suggested page and that was on her explore page. So I had to tell her, you cannot engage. You can't watch it. You have to unfollow. You have to report it. And so there are these guardrails that I think some of us use that other people don't.
That's so interesting. What do you recommend as a content creator yourself around creating an algorithm that like works for you?
Yeah, because I do think at this point mine is very well curated, and I saw that I didn't realize how much work went into it until I tried to do the same thing on TikTok, because at first I hated TikTok. And it was actually my friend Janae who was like, no. You have to train the algorithm, because I had been doing that for 10 years on Instagram and not even realizing it. Plus the machine wasn't as sophisticated as it is now. And so today I would say if you were picking up a device or you were trying to reprogram and retrain it, you have to double tap. You're saying more of this, please. Number 1. Number 2, you have to report things that you don't like and be mindful of what you engage with. Even standing still on it, it thinks you're reading it or you're watching it. Mm-hmm. Every step you take, the program is following you. Imagine just there being like a shadow behind you the entire time you're inside of the application, or depending on the cookies, across any application
platform
on your phone.
Yeah. What about digital activism? online.
Ooh, child.
And how do you engage with that? And how do you think that has led to misunderstandings or misinformation?
I think digital activism is necessary. I think that organizing online, as I said in the previous episode, wasn't a thing during the epicenter or the heyday of the civil rights movement. Same struggle, of course, just different tone and tenor. And that particular tone and tenor was analog. It was actually, one would say, and I've heard this argument in very many spaces before, that it was seeing the police dogs being sicked on Black students during Dr. King's protests and John Lewis and others is what helped to change the hearts and minds of white America. So television was still like new. News broadcasts were still fairly new. Today, TV, radio, what is that, right? We're watching Hulu. There aren't even really any cable TV networks anymore. If you have Tubi, you can watch programs for free with just a television. We are on our phones and maybe an iPad and maybe a computer. And so we have to attend to that. And I think just seeing it online spaces as a place to be used against us or a place for brainwashing, I think limits the potential there. That's just my thought. And I think that I am completely biased because of what I do, and I welcome that. But I also recognize that it can be a home for performative activism. And that is what bothers me, quite frankly. You and I have had many conversations on this podcast about the previous election and folks who may have voted for Jill Stein or folks who were third party or some of the loud voices that were happening around the war in Gaza. And today we look around and we don't see as much of that coming down our timeline.
So I don't see any of it.
And it didn't end.
Right. The people are still dying in Gaza. There are still hostages. Right. The war is still going on. Well, actually, there's a ceasefire now. But I'm so confused around the content around Gaza.
Yeah.
Because it was everywhere. And I don't see it at all anymore.
Yeah, and I think there are probably other examples of that, right? State-sanctioned violence didn't end when George Floyd was murdered.
Correct.
People are still being killed by the police. They're still being, killed under stand your ground laws, I'm sure.
And I don't see as much stuff anymore either around reproductive justice.
Absolutely not.
So there's also something happening within the algorithm. I mean, so I think we're touching on two different things, right? One is performative activism and the flavor of the month sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which I think you and I both agree is very off-putting and not actual activism. But the other is shadow banning within the algorithm.
So do you think that's possible that that's happening as well?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's happening to us.
Say more about that.
I think also I'm biased, of course, but like our posts have been very consistent. We post 3 to 4 times a week. We do a variety of reels and galleries. We try to kind of get stuff from all of our different episodes. They have to be sound bites because they're real. Some are funny, some are informative. They haven't really changed. The podcast hasn't really changed.
No.
And there are some reels that do remarkably well. I'm not talking about those. And I'm talking about like our everyday ones.
Yeah.
They are getting a lot less interaction and a lot less views.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, right? This isn't about us chasing likes. What's happening is the algorithm controls 100% what we see. So those 6 posts that we just went through, for all we know, those things were posted last week.
Right. So that's the other thing. They're not temporally related to when you're looking at the algorithm, at your feed.
At all. And that's why it's so dangerous to operate solely in a virtual reality, because it is not reality. It is not real.
And it's not contemporaneous.
At
Even
all.
stories. I mean, stories can be.
Stories can be. But also, I only see probably stories come up at the top of your feed, at the very top. So I swipe maybe twice. And so I see 6 platform stories a day at the most. I follow probably 10,000 accounts. So between content being posted 5 days ago, me seeing less of who I actually follow, it becomes dangerous because we have created a world that is so myopic and that is so individual until all we are seeing are our own thoughts and ideas confirmed over and over and over again.
Or our fears.
Or our fears. My God, today.
So,
Jesus.
So my algorithm is very confused. I mean, like I have a lot of health content. I have a lot of food content because I like cooking. I have a lot of nutrition content because I'm in a nutrition program. I have a lot of cancer content because I was touched by cancer. And so there's like still some of that. And I have just a lot of like death and dying content.
Wow.
And or like random young people dying, illnesses kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so obviously like the algorithm has picked up on some of my insecurities.
Yeah.
And I only interact with you, us, and like a couple other creators. I don't really operate that much. As you can see, I can't even log on that much.
Yeah.
Which is an intentional thing because I had to put safeguards on my content consumption. What are the solutions?
To the shadow banning?
No, sorry. Like, what are the solutions to some of the problems? I mean, shadow banning being one, but like, how can we interact with this thing, not let it turn us or red pill us?
Yeah.
Get us the information that we want, support the people that we love.
Yeah.
And move on.
So a couple things. Number one, I think I have to make this pitch. There are so many, I think, bomb creators who are not getting the support that they really need from their audiences. And so if you know someone who has a Substack, us, who has a Patreon, who has a paid community of any type, even if they have a private Instagram, platform or an exclusive YouTube club, please give them that $5 a month or whatever that very low investment is, because like Margo just said, so many of us, especially if you have an opinion about the world, maybe being shadow banned. And we also just don't, because we have that opinion, have the same kind of financial or economic opportunities.
So I think you need to talk. Can you talk to our audience about this? Because I had no idea this was a thing until you shared it with me about like being a palatable brand.
Oh, absolutely.
And how we're not that.
No.
But
and I'm not that. I mean, I have done people know this brand work in the past, and I find the most success usually with small to mid-sized companies who understand who I am and who care about the world. MM LaFleur and our work here and on Politics and Fashion is an example of that. But there are other brands that wouldn't touch me with a 10-foot pole, and I've had to grow to be okay with that. Different than what I anticipated when I started this work as a professional creator. But then one day I just said, oh, now I get it. Because I can either tone down my Blackness, my queerness, I can tone down whatever it is that may make a brand uncomfortable, or I can continue to be me, be genuine, and then find ways as a professional who has to pay my bills to say to my community, and I do see our followers as that, hey, I'm hosting this amazing event. Come on this retreat with me, right? I'm providing a service to them versus waiting on a brand deal to come to me.
So it makes total sense now. And now that we've been doing this for 2 years, it also is confirmed, like the confirmation bias is confirmed or whatever, right? That when you have a strong opinion or you don't fit into a mold, right? You're not a cookie cutter trad wife. You aren't doing straight up cleaning content or cooking content or fashion content that links to Amazon or...
Come on.
Right. Like you are doing something a little bit different and intentionally so that brands who are trying to have a larger market share might feel uncomfortable. And I wouldn't have had that was so far removed from my understanding until.
And it's also not fair, because everybody sees a creator and they think you're just trying to sell me something. And actually, I don't even have shit to sell you because the brand won't give it to me to sell to you. So it is not, it doesn't encapsulate all of who we are. And I would say those people who speak to you truly, support them. support them, go to their classes, go to their retreats, buy their t-shirts, because there are going to be fewer and fewer people who operate on these platforms from a spirit of authenticity.
So that's what I've noticed. And actually, why I find Instagram less appealing now is one, the ads. So I'm targeted with all of these ads for, I don't know, gyms or facial. I mean, like big companies, but also everything seems so curated.
Transactional. Oh, yeah.
Right? It's like such a curated, all the pictures are perfect, or it's all, I don't know. It feels not realistic.
No, and that's actually,
Like,
if you talk to the TikTok girlies, they'll say they prefer that platform because it feels like what Instagram maybe used to be, where you could get on camera without makeup, you could just post, and your background could be messy. Now everything has become so highly curated. And I do think that that's probably the worst part of influencer culture, if I'm being honest.
Circling back to the curated and the Maha Moms,
Mm-hmm.
and this idea of kind of fighting against the existing health systems or pharmaceuticals, but buy this liver powder, buy this protein shake,
Come on.
buy this vitamin.
Yeah.
You know, if you take this is the same thing as taking Adderall, but it's natural.
So they told you that that's bad. This is good. Buy this.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that's bad. Here's
Let me tell
free
you
information.
Right. Let me tell you why, or here's how to make an informed choice, or here's how to educate yourself about nourishing your body. It's buy my supplement.
Yeah.
And I find it so scary.
Yeah. Sometimes, a lot of times, it is a grift. And that goes back to the importance of facts and what we're seeing down our timelines, because I have a family member who right now is also experiencing cancer. It's touched my family many, many times, as you know, him. And a family member went to this internet guru's shop to find supplements. And that person was like, look, I can go get you the supplements, but those don't replace your actual, like, you have got to promise me that you're going to get treated. They say, yes, I'm going to get treated. This person walks into this apothecary, and it was just, from the way that I heard the story being described, a bunch of snake oil. And like, this person is rabble. We're like, yeah, don't you want to cure this person of cancer? Don't let them do chemotherapy on and all the government wants to do. And so I'm like, well, how did you even find this person? Why did you on the internet?
Well, there is a reason that we used to have such firm rules against drug advertising.
Absolutely.
I think what's troubling is people buying all of these things on the internet. They don't know what it is. Again, like, people are like diagnosed on the internet, buy cleanses on the internet, put all this stuff in their body. I'm talking specifically this.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm with you.
I imagine there's the same for other, for clothing, for furniture, for lifestyle, for cleaning, right? All this stuff. And it's sold as a better alternative to what you can get in the market, but it's just a secondary market of goods without any
regulation.
Right? So I had to tell myself, Margo, you cannot buy any more body products on Instagram.
Y'all, what's the wildest thing you have purchased online? I would love to know. I think I don't buy a lot, specifically from like Instagram or TikTok sellers, but I have friends who do, and sometimes some products hit, dog. Now, health and wellness is a different story. Just like, oh, there's one thing I bought recently. I kept being spammed by this purse charm company called Sticky Zoo. And then when the charm came, it had like a little flash camera. I loved it. Mari would love it.
Did it work?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't take pictures, but like, you click it and like a flash goes off, and it's like a whole key ring of these purse charms.
That's cute.
So unnecessary, so completely cute. I couldn't have found that at my local, I needed to find it from the bespoke Instagram seller. So there are times where I think the internet and algorithms can be the great connector when they're used for good.
I agree. And I think there is no way to open and start a successful small business now without social media.
None.
So this is kind of this very real challenge that small businesses have,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you want to promote your service or your goods.
Yeah.
You want to be able to start your business. How do you do that? What's your aesthetic? How do you do that if you've never done Instagram before, or TikTok or whatever before? And how do you do it from a genuine place where you're not a snake oil salesperson? And I think I I think there's a way to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
I just don't think a lot of people do it.
And I also think this is all still fairly new. Like, I don't know at the beginning of the, what was it called? The Gutenberg press, that there were like journalistic values, right? So it, in the same way that print news and media had to figure out how to disseminate information that was with integrity, I think the same thing has to be done around the internet. Now, who's interested? It ain't the government, that's for sure. Who's going to be interested in creating those values? I don't know. Perfect example. So I don't know if you heard about this recently, but an influencer was on the red carpet at an award show and was interviewing Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh, yes. Tell me about this. Yes, I didn't understand. I was going to ask you about this.
And so Meg walks up and she says, you know, when I hear your music, it just makes me want to fight somebody.
The woman was white, right? The interviewer.
Saying this to a Black woman who objectively does not fucking make music about violence or fighting.
And was the victim of a domestic violence shooting.
Of a shooting. Now, if you say I hear your music and it makes me want to throw that thing in a circle, it makes me want to bend it over and I'll be like, yeah, that actually is on brand for Meg Thee Stallion, who embraces and raps about this sexuality and this sensuality. But it makes me violent, bitch. Like, the very obvious bias and racism and misogynoir in that comment was insane. And so I saw this thing where I think it was R29, which is like the Black part of Refinery 29, was like, this is the problem when now we look to influencers for everything. Because why was she, and not a journalist who had done her homework and had certain expectations around her, interviewing Meg Thee Stallion?
So this is another point, right? We hold influencers to a professional expectation. We expect them, because they have a large audience, to be well informed. Maybe they should be, right? But also, people become very successful influencers for a variety of things, like lifting weights,
Right.
or cooking, or maybe, right? And in any other capacity, no one would be interested in talking to them about sociopolitical stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Megan Thee Stallion would never talk to that woman in real life.
Right, but it was...
Or she would never talk to Megan Thee Stallion.
It was whoever hired her wanted access to her audience. And so it's the commodification of the people who follow us, not even about the knowledge or the skills or the expertise. You don't got to have that. For some reason, we know that 500,000 people are following you and like you. Come to NBC, ABC, CBS so that we can ensure that we have your audience locked in.
So that makes me think of an idea for our community that could affirm some of what we're talking about, is follow people who you respect. Like that journalist who just was fired from MSNBC.
Joy Ann Reid.
Right. So she just started a Substack.
Yes.
And we should all be following her and paying her for her Substack.
Yep.
She's a real journalist. She was really fired from MSNBC. She's a Black woman. And maybe if we create our own echo chamber of affirming creators that we like and want more of their educated content, then their content will be more coveted.
I hope so. At the very least, rise to the top. But there's another big issue here, friend, is that statistically, I don't have the data to prove it, but I think some would say statistically, there are not enough white people who follow diverse platforms. I think if I scroll down my timeline, I can see more diversity than the average white person might see down theirs. And that's why the kind of racial reckoning where there was this mass push to follow more Black creators, a lot of Black people like me, fashion influencers, for example, saw huge spikes in their numbers. And they were like, where are all these followers coming from? Oh, so-and-so shared my platform, or so-and-so allowed for me to take over her platform. Because if not, as a minority group of people in this country, our content is not being seen in the same way. I'm not landing on someone's explore page, for example, who may not, even if they're into fashion, even if my content and my fashion, my OOTD alone would appeal to them, they will never see me because of who else they follow. So there is racism that is embedded in these platforms, homophobia, transphobia, all the things as well that we have to pay attention to. So I hope that we can build kind of like this cadre of positive, progressive voices that we're seeing on each other's pages or explore pages, explore feeds. But I don't know. I think it's been so highly racialized at this point.
I think so too. And also just curated from Meta.
Yeah.
You know, today I logged on this morning and I saw, I'm not following her, but maybe because I followed Jill Biden. I don't know, but Usha Vance somehow is on my... And I can't unfollow her. It won't let me unfollow.
Because you're not following her. She probably is like was it like a suggested reel
I don't
or
even
something?
know. I got so flustered.
Here's the other thing. I want to get to that. But here's the other thing. Now Meta is doing this thing where it's not even on your explore page, because that's bad enough, right? When you have to go and search somebody and you have all of these and you're like, oh, what's that? They're also putting people you don't follow down your fucking timeline.
Yeah, why did they do that?
And I'm like, I don't see the people who I want to see. Where is my cousin back home who just had a baby? That's whose content I want to see. I don't give a fuck about Usha Vance.
Yeah.
So that's that. But my question is, to the point of Usha, is it helpful for us to curate these spaces where we don't see alternative viewpoints?
So no, I don't know. No. I mean, did you watch the Ruby Frank docuseries?
I watched almost all of it.
I mean, that's a whole episode. But
I'm hip, baby, because I've been down a rabbit hole about this thing for about a year now.
Okay. Well, I'm not actually talking about the substance of that situation, which is terrifying, and those poor children. But basically the mandate from the Mormon Church to create more content, which I don't think most progressives knew. So all those little hairstyles that we have, and the hats and the jeans with the flannel and the posing on bridges, that's like a mandate from the Mormon Church.
Gotcha, bitch.
That's being red-pilled.
Yeah. Yeah. So for folks who don't know, Ruby Frankie came to prominence for her show, or it wasn't a show, but her vlogging channel that was once called 8 Passengers. She and her husband had 6 children, Mormon family. Fast forward, one of her children shows up to a neighbor's house and asks a gentleman to call 911 because he had to talk to the police because he was being starved and beaten and abused. Horrifically sad, horrific case of child abuse.
I mean, like cayenne pepper in wounds kind of thing, literally.
And they would say that Jody Hildebrand, who we find out later is Ruby Frankie's lover, I'm going to just say it, was a narcissistic cult leader and had been growing this following. And she was highly recommended also by the Mormon Church. It's not about Mormons. I'm just sharing the facts.
It's again how misinformation can spread through the internet. She created courses and therapy groups. She wasn't even a therapist.
No, bitch. Are you serious?
She was some sort of like life coach, but she had been castigated before. Like, she had been practicing unlawfully and had been caught before.
So this woman then wraps not just Jody, but also another close friend into her web.
And her husband.
Then wraps her husband in her web. I said bed by mistake, but it's going to come full circle because Jody Hildebrand this is what really stood out to me, y'all. She begins to have these moments where she's just being taken over by a demonic spirit, and she just shakes and she can't. And so they have to pray for her for hours to get that demon out of her girl. And this is Ruby and her husband. And then one day, Ruby said to her husband, I just need to be with Jody by myself because I have to pray for her alone. She's received word that, it's just going to be me and her tonight. This man leaves his bed in his bedroom with his wife, and Jody and Ruby start to sleep in the bed together.
Her therapist. His therapist. So it's I guess I bring it up not for us to dissect the crazy.
Margo, but I can't. We have to tell some of this story because it is so fucking
wild.
bananas.
It is so wild. But it's like every one of these stories that we've kind of talked a little bit about that is related to pop culture, even like the Twitch.
Allison Holker.
Right. So even the Twitch Allison Holker thing, like they came to prominence too through dancing on Instagram or some of the cult stuff on YouTube. And while again, it's really terrible, it is like in the same feed as cooking videos. And I think our brains just can't handle it.
Cannot handle it. Right? Because how much can the human brain take as far as being able to really decode,
like what's
and decipher
real, what's real, what's not, what's abuse, what's
and
not.
AI. We haven't even talked about AI yet.
Oh well, yeah. I don't understand how AI plays into this. I mean, I think it like takes over the algorithm.
And a lot of the images we're seeing are deep fakes. They're not real. Trump uses them often, but a lot of images that we're being told are real or people are not reporting as being created by AI. I sat beside a young person on a plane who was writing a book, and he already had done like his character study, right? So he was showing me all these characters, and they all were AI generated, and they looked like real people. I thought he was showing me photos, and it was all AI. He's like, the platform is really easy to use. You do this, you do that. It's not like a computer programmer sitting in the back of their mom's basement. This is on your phone. You can create an image that looks real. And so we are, I think, having to just catch up with something that is outpacing us and outperforming us. It's kind of like Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah. And I think also we haven't talked about AI, but we also haven't talked about how the algorithm consistently changes.
Yeah.
And what it prioritizes.
100%.
So does it prioritize reels? Does it prioritize galleries? Does it prioritize music? Does it prioritize lifestyle content?
And seeing Mark Zuckerberg with Donald Trump at the inauguration makes me think like what is happening behind the scenes that might be changing now that we don't know about or won't be confirmed for us for another 4 years.
Right. Because to your point, we don't know what other people are seeing. Okay, let's do 3 more.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, this is actually a good one that I wanted to bring up. So this came down Washingtonian problems yesterday, but now it's on Diet Prada. Have you seen this Trump official who does OOTDs?
I've heard about it.
She works at Doge.
I haven't seen them.
And objectively, these outfits are heinous, but politics aside, I'm Margo.
Wait, tell us about her.
Girl,
OOTD.
we don't even... Why you put a camera on to show us a dress barn loose blouse and a purple prairie skirt with some flats? I don't know. I don't know why you decided this was going to be the day that I show y'all my outfit, bitch. Like, I am confusion.
What's the point of her doing OOTDs?
I think it is a part of just internet culture. And she uses hashtag DC influencer. I also think we are being red pilled by this as well because it is synonymous with this quiet luxury fashion that's happening. And so there's a Trumpification of fashion that's happening right now, a rise of conservatism in all spaces. So she's showing very modest outfits. Okay. This is what you wear to work. So that's number 1. Number 2, it is a comedian and activist named Jessica Lee. So she's doing like a woke offends Klansmen. She's doing a drawing that says whatever offends Klansmen easily as an acronym for woke. So that's good for us to know that that's what woke now stands for. Whatever offends Klansmen easily. And then Essence, a news piece that says federal judge orders fired federal employees to be reinstated.
Okay.
That's my next three.
So this is so good because my first one is Dr. Jessica Knurik. She is a scientist who debunks a lot of the theories promulgated by RFK.
Oh, okay.
So she basically, like, there's something about food dyes that RFK is banning, and her whole thing is like, fine, you can ban the food dyes, but like actually we need to talk about like access to good food.
True.
Or access to medical care. So she says whether or not you can pronounce an ingredient says nothing about its safety. It more reflects your level of scientific education. Maybe instead of fear-mongering over long words, we should work with scientists and public health experts who can help you pronounce them and make America healthier. Okay, so that's my first one. My second one is, this is cute. A small company in Spain called The Little Voyager. She does, at some point I really want to do it. She's a travel agent for families.
Ooh.
And she finds, I've never used it, but I love her content. And she finds like small hotels that are family friendly in different parts of the world.
Love it.
Okay. And then this person I started following about hair regrowth.
Okay. So we still go back to the same principles, right? Yours is health, now travel, but not surprising for you. And mine is politics and fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in a real way, in the case of this Doge employee, a literal politics and fashion. Yeah. But there is so much that we don't see. So back to if this is where I spend the majority of my time, I don't.
No, I know you don't.
Right. And same for you, right? We're working to have a more positive relationship with our phones. But if I spent all my time scrolling, I would think the world was the few new sound bites that came down my feed and a bunch of playing dress up. What else would I privilege or prioritize?
Right. And I would think everyone is worried about lymphatic health.
And they're putting on the glucose monitors.
Do you want to see it?
Yes, of course. Margo told us that she was going to be getting one of these during our last episode, and now she has her glucose monitor.
My blood sugar is right now.
One day I'll figure out why this level of biometric data is actually helpful.
Just data.
Okay, just data.
Oh, my blood sugar is a little high. I've got to get walking, it says. Better close out this episode.
She's going to pickle her insides.
Okay. So another thing we can do is put time limits on how you're consuming your content and make sure you're getting your content from multiple sources.
Multiple sources is really important.
Right. So, I mean, we all get a lot of content from our phones and from social media, but like try if you can to read the news if that's what if you are getting actual news from social media, we encourage you to read other sources in longer form.
Absolutely. And I just have a bit of a, I guess, challenge. And it is to think about the type of content that you actually want to see that you think would be helpful for you right now. Like for me, I would love to see more wellness content. But here's what the algorithm is going to require me to do. Not to just follow the same accounts as you, but I have to interact with them because it still is going to show me what I talked about today unless I do so. And that's probably just true in life, right? If you want to make a habit change, actually spend the time to curate and to show that you value what you love.
And I would like to get more not more news from social media, but have my social media linked to the news sources that I read. So I find this real disconnect between my social media and the news.
Interesting.
And I actually, for me, I would like more
synchronicity. So what you're reading about in the Times, the Globe, whatever,
right?
Some of those headlines to also come down your timeline.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
I wouldn't mind some more Wanderlust.
Yeah. So follow /unfollow, right? The accounts that you love or that may be spamming you or getting you to participate in mass consumption in some way. Support creators, especially ones who you feel like are operating with integrity. Time limits. Anything else?
Be discerning about digital activism and support the creators who are actually working for a cause.
Yeah.
As opposed to the flavor of the month.
And chasing likes. For sure. All right, good people. Sound off below. Let us know your thoughts, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Justice. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to learn more about our podcast, be sure to check us out on our website at justicepodcast.com. You can also reach out to us there if you want to be featured on the show or if you have a business or a product that you think would be a good fit for our audience. Thanks again for listening.